Why, hello, one and all. Welcome to this very special edition of Chicago Reacts. My name is Kit. I'm one of the reactors on the show. I cannot thank all of you enough for participating and joining us for this special live stream. And it's going to be a discussion on some recent news from Warhammer 40K. And I was talking over with my team. Hey, let's have the discussion about Warhammer 40K. And recently I was a guest on another Warhammer 40K enthusiast show. She does reaction too, and first time being on our live stream and first live stream we're doing. I know we've done a couple here and there, but I'm proud to bring in Geri. Her YouTube channel is Geri Reviews, so be sure to check her out. Hey, welcome.
Hey, hi, Kit, and your awesome audience.
It's so good
How
to
are you
see
doing?
everyone. I am doing well. I'm very happy to hear about all this new updated information. It was a real pleasure to be on your show to talk about Warhammer 40K. And I know that there's a lot to discuss. And I've recently reacted to some brand new Warhammer 40K content on the channel. But again, maybe kind of sort of, I did react to maybe the Primarch returning. I cannot say. But again, I know that you reached out to me too, and you were like saying, "Hey, wait, let's discuss this on your channel as well." So I was happy to oblige. So for our viewers, before we get started with the discussion, how did you find out about Warhammer 40K? How did you get interested into it? Because for the most part, I think a lot of people just aren't aware of it and the outstanding stories and lore and entertainment that I think anyone could really get into.
Yeah. Well, I found out through the Astartes animation that took YouTube by storm by Sayama Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just amazing. It made a huge impression on me. I was like, what are these huge soldiers in these amazing armor suits? Like, they're so big, they're like mech suits. So yeah, very impressed by the animation, by the presentation, by the way
Mhm,
that they moved, how badass they were,
mhm.
and just the whole thing was something that I never seen before. So since then, I was like, I have to know what Warhammer is. So here we are, like 1.5 year later, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, for me, it was around the early 2000s. I think it was 2008, I believe, unless my brain cells are finally disappearing and I need to get recloned again because the cloning process is so terrible. But that's anyways. Time to get serious. The first book I found out about Warhammer 40K was the book titled 15 Hours.
Mhm.
And again, it was a perspective of an Imperial guardsman on a planet that is being overwhelmed by orcs, and it was a thrilling read. And since then, I've kind of built up a small collection of books for Warhammer 40K. But I was just interested to know more about the Imperium, and I guess what I should point out is that that when I was looking for what I was looking for specifically was the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. And for some reason, I got dragged into the Imperium of Man. So there you go.
Yeah, everything is interesting about the Imperium of Man.
but
Definitely.
but now let's bring up something that is fascinating and I think really could change the entire setup of the Imperium, of the lore, and how people will be playing the game. And that is, well, somebody has returned. Somebody woke up from their cat nap.
Pretty important stuff.
Breaking news. Lionel Johnson, Primarch of the Dark Angels, returns. Warhammer 40,000. And as humanity
Yeah,
faces its darkest hour, this is from the Warhammer 40K community. Um,
amazing.
we see this. There's a video there. The Avenging Sun cannot be everywhere at once. That's Reboot Guilliman, our glorious Lord Commander. The Lion has returned. So here he is in all his glory, looking like a beefed up version of Tywin Lannister, which if they ever hire a voice actor, get the actor who played Tywin. I want to start off
He's
with you.
amazing.
Your thoughts on the return of the lion.
Well, people only waited for this their whole for their whole lives, you know. I only waited for this like for the duration of me being a Warhammer fan, so not that long.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is super amazing. I only want a freaking explanation why the heck he is so old, but we're going to get that anyway. Hoping that this is going to happen in the latest book that they just announced today, I think. So yeah, praying that we're going to get a lot more information about what the lion has been up to this whole time for 10,000 years. uh, but yeah, I'm kind of feeling like he's going to be in the one position in the universe somewhere, and Gilliman's going to be dealing with the Tyranids,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not going to meet for a while, maybe. So we'll see how this is going to be like explained.
Well, in regards towards the aging process, Jerry, unfortunately, the spoiler is already out.
Really? Ah, this.
How? Logistics? 10,000 years ago.
Brothers, now I shall perform our daily sacred ritual, the applying of sacred moisturizer, as the Codex dictated.
Amazing. Can I get some?
I think
I
it's
won't
only.
do that.
I think
At
it's
some
only.
point.
I think it's only for Primarch skin, though. So, unfortunately for
Ah,
us mere mortals, it just might be too much. But, looking at this, with the return of the lion, you brought up a very interesting point. When will Guilliman and the lion meet? Because before the lion was announced, there was this outstanding, beautiful trailer. Maybe I kind of sort of reacted to it. You have to find out.
maybe.
Maybe,
Maybe. I
maybe.
did though.
Guilliman was talking about victory and how he was facing off, or how his forces were facing off against this new onslaught of the Tyranids. And we all know that the Imperium is split into with Imperium Nihilus. But would that be a factor in? And would there then be two counter orders from both Primarchs? Because you have the Lion and then you have Guilliman. And let's face it, Gilliman's made a lot of enemies within the Imperium. You think that there might be people that might take advantage of the fact that the lion is here and they could maybe supplant the lion with Gilliman? What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I know that actually not only you are suggesting this, but a lot of other people are thinking that maybe they're going to be against each other and some kind of a civil war is going to ensue. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to see this because we finally get a loyalist Primarch, and I don't want him to have any kind of a conflict with Guilliman because Guilliman has been doing a really good job considering that he's the only one that's active right now, and he is the Emperor's regent. So I don't think that the Lion can really question his position, but he will be something like I don't know. I'm kind of seeing the two of them separating the duties rather than being some kind of a conflict. So yeah,
Mhm.
we'll see. It could go either way, really. I don't know what the writers are thinking, but I would prefer if they're like on two different fronts, at least for the time being, and then maybe comes together and do something epic. That would be great.
So there's a couple things that, again, that you brought up that should be pointed out even further. So, okay, I want to see these two work together too. And let's be fair here. The Lion has some issues, and Gilliman is already coming to terms with his mistakes. And what I want to point out with Dark Imperium, the trilogy book, is that Gilliman does acknowledge, hey, I made mistakes breaking up the 500 worlds, and I made a serious mistake breaking up the legions. I mean, I don't see the Emperor or any of the other Primarchs really come to terms of saying to themselves, I made a mistake. But Gilliman is also making some new mistakes along the way, and he maybe needs somebody like the Lion. And I would like the audience to correct me if I'm wrong on this. I see everyone here in the live stream chat. We got a lot of wonderful people here. Um, but Gilliman kind of looked up to his older brothers because the Lion was deemed being the first one. The first Legion had a lot of special weaponry and technology. Perhaps maybe there could be sort of I guess a mentorship, not a mentorship, but at least Gilliman has somebody to confine and talk to because the Lion is just like him. And the thing is, neither of them can afford to really go at each other's throats. Plus, even if, let's say, there are people who want to supplant Guilliman with the Lion, and audience, don't get upset. I'm going to use the wiki here, but there's a lot that the potential replacement people who want to replace Guilliman can use against the Lion, because here is Imperium Secundus. And the thing is, at the end of Dark Imperium trilogy, there's a chaos cultist or a book is dropped, talked about the rule of Sanguinius in Ultramar. And the thing is, the Lion was the Lord Protector and was one of the founders of Imperium Secundus. And the Lion went to Macrab to confront Guilliman, and thinking that Guilliman was going to betray the Emperor, which that didn't happen, because I think Guilliman really thought that the Emperor was dead. And so I want to get your thoughts. Would this be used against the Lion? Would people try and use this to sever a wedge between the Lion and Guilliman? Because the thing is, people are making this Imperium Secundus into Guilliman's scandal, but he really thought the Emperor was dead, and the Lion was there too. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, the Imperium Secundus kind of was looking like the necessary thing to do at the time, really, because they had no connection to Terra at all. They thought that everything was lost. So they had to do something. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, Kit, that we have no freaking idea what the Lion was doing for 10,000 years. So whatever he was doing is going to play a huge role on his character right now, how he changed, how he didn't change, and what he actually thinks of the current situation of the Imperium, and the fact that Guilliman is now in charge. So once again, it can go either way, actually. It's hard to talk when we don't know what he was doing, because if you read even the Horus Heresy book, like the last one, The End and the Death, we now know that Rogal Dorn was in a different dimension, in a different world. Try to be connected. He was basically corrupted, but not really. I mean, Korn tried to do that to him for years and years and years, and we have no idea how that affected him as well. So, and this really came out of nowhere about Rogal Dorn. I never even, would have guessed. And now the Lion, we know nothing. So it's really hard to just speculate out of the blue. We have to know at least a little bit.
Well, if he is corrupted, here's the thing. I don't think the Lion is corrupted, because as we could see here, he is holding the Emperor's shield, a weapon that was blessed and held by the Emperor, and Guilliman is wielding the Emperor's sword. So I would have to assume that anything that is associated with the Emperor, if someone is corrupted, said device is going to burn them or do something to them. So in regards to what the Lion was doing, perhaps his fight with Luther and the destruction of Caliban was so traumatic and did a damage to his physical form that perhaps he was in a very long comatose for some time. And the thing is, another issue to bring up, and why it would behoove the Lion to build a relationship, maybe it won't be a close brotherly love or anything like that, is that there is that ongoing scandal of the Dark Angels and how long it took them to get to Terra. Now, I believe that the Dark Angels are loyalists. I just think that the warp really played a role in holding back the Lion's forces. I mean, I know the Lion had an ego, but I cannot see him purposely holding back his forces for him to save the day. Because as it stood at that point, I mean, even Guilliman had the larger legion, and he was out there pacifying all the other areas in which the Chaos Cultists were at. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I didn't really mean to say that he could be corrupted. I meant to say that since, just for an example, with Rogal Dorn, that since we have such a thing now with him that it's so out of the blue, who knows what we have with the Lion, actually. That's what I meant. But in any case, he's not corrupted. I'm pretty sure. Even the shield, like you said, is one proof that he will return as a loyalist, for sure. This is absolutely obvious. So one more reason for me to think that he is not going to be against Guilliman, but it seems like there's going to be some kind of a distribution of the emperor's power items
Mm-hmm.
amongst his sons. So, as you said, the sword is with Guilliman, the shield is going to be with the lion, and whoever is returning next is going to get something else from the emperor, and that is how they're going to form like an imperial force of sorts that directly is going to serve the emperor. So that's why I don't really think that's going to be like a conflict, a conflict story arc. And what was the other thing that you asked me?
Well, I guess in regards to the Dark Angels being loyalists or
Yes.
traitors.
Yeah. I actually don't remember any such story thread explained in the end and the death. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't remember anything about that. Maybe it's going to be in volume 2, or maybe not. But the purpose of these 2 books are just to shed more light on what the heck happened on the Siege of Terra. So maybe, who knows, in volume 2 we're going to get more information about that. But yeah, I doubt it has to do something with their loyalty, maybe something with chaos.
Okay, probably so. But now, how about this other proposal? Because since the lore in 40K is finally being kicked into overdrive, let me propose these 2 questions. Would the Lion in Rebellion against the Codex Astartes try and reform all his chapters, or his Dark Angels chapters, into a legion, and perhaps bring back the Fallen into the fold? Do you see that happening? Could the Fallen and people like Cypher, potentially Luther, who's now out there, rejoin and recreate the First Legion? Would that be shattering, or do you see that happening? Because then again, you got people who have various Dark Angel successor chapters who've painted their own models and armies. Would you see that happening? I mean, could that be possible at all?
Maybe in a later time. I don't see that happening now.
Hmm.
That thing with the legions, with Guilliman's rule, all of that, I mean, that needs a lot of time to develop for me. I mean, for things to change so drastically. So
True,
yeah, I don't
true.
think it's going to be now.
True. Audience, what do you think? Do you think that the Lion will reform the Legion of the First? Will he bring back the Fallen into his forces? Type it in the live stream. Give us your thoughts, because we would like your feedback and thoughts on the idea of perhaps a Legion reborn, because we know that the Space Wolves haven't done that. They haven't done their own chapters. So again, just seeing this here with the Emperor now bringing back one of his sons. Another thing to call into question is how will the rest of the galaxy react now that there's another Primarch? Because we got our forces of chaos. We saw Magnus, Fulgrim, good old Mortarion, and later on Angron. These 4 Chaos Primarchs, each representing the 4 Chaos gods, have, in one way or form, have decided to re-engage and combat the Imperium and perhaps do their own program, all the while ignoring Abaddon and his 13th Black Crusade. What do you think? You think there will be a rise of more Chaos Primarchs like Perturabo or Logar returning?
Well, I wonder that too, because now that we got finally a Loyalist Primarch, and the forces maybe could be evened out a bit, I personally don't want to see another one of the treacherous Primarchs, because okay, we got the Lion, but now we have to deal with another one of the others. No, no, I don't want that. I don't know if Jedi were gonna do that, honestly.
Well, there is the new model of Magnus. There is a one out there of Mortarion, and then, however treasonous he is and brutal he is, that Angron model of him being a full demon prince, beautiful. But it looks like there might be a collision and a crash course between Angron and the Lion, and
Yeah, I saw
from
that too.
yeah, and there was what was the name of the book? I saw you react to the video of it. It was an audio book of Sanguinius actually fighting Angron, because I know in earlier Warhammer lore, it was assumed that Sanguinius and Angron fought at the Siege of Terra. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I know that you did react to that audiobook.
Yeah, actually made a review of it even.
Mhm.
Well, it was a very good book. Gotta check what the title was. If you can give me a second here.
Oh, absolutely. No problem. Take your time.
I finished so many books by this point. They tend to just get mixed in my head. But it was one of the latest books about the Siege of Terra, that is for sure. And it was focusing on Sanguinius and his fight with that demon before Angron. Damn it, what was his name of the
Oh,
demon?
Kabanda.
Yes.
Yes, Kabanda. So it was
Yeah.
Sanguinius. Let me see if I could find it too. Versus
Yeah, he
Angron.
defeated that, the demon. Then he had to fight Angron, and he killed him. He cut off his head. It was absolutely brutal. So I don't know, how is he alive? I mean, how is Angron alive now?
Well, his soul does belong to Korn. So I remember in the audio drama, because I was listening to it. I called it an audio drama. Please, everyone, put down your
Oh,
tomatoes.
here it is. Here it is.
Yes.
Echoes of Eternity.
Okay, Echoes of Eternity. In that there's okay. So after Sanguinius fights Kabanda, which again, holy cow, now he fights Angron. Yeah, I know he stabs Angron and he says, I release you from this pain. And Angron has always been angry, but Sanguinius has kept his rage in check. But Sanguinius, I think, in regards for rage versus rage, his outshines Angron. And I know that he went behind Angron's head and ripped out
The butcher's nails.
Yeah, the butcher's nails. And for that one moment, Angron had clarity and he realized he was finally self-aware of what he was doing. But the self-awareness was so much of a horror to him that his soul eventually was repossessed by Korn, and now he's back. So he's not human. I think it's impossible for Angron to ever be redeemed unless our favorite cloner Fabius Bile decides to find a pure gene seed of Angron and reclone him. But we all know how the cloning process fails, especially with his clone version of, I think, Fulgrim. Yeah, because he cloned his father. Did he also
It's really
clone
sad.
Horus too? I think he cloned Horus too.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know what happened with that. Can't recall. But it's really sad because, technically Angron is a victim of the butcher's nails and the fact that he landed on that planet and what was done to him, he had no control over that. So, yeah, very sad about Angron.
Well, so I want to return back to the Lion and talking about where he was at. So this beautiful hardcover book is going to be coming out. And hey, audience, if you're going to buy this book, type 1 for yes, type no for no, type 2 for no. But it's titled The Hunt is On, The Lion, Son of the Forest. So the Primarch of the Dark Angels made his first appearance in 10,000 years at Adapticon, woken into a nightmare known as Imperium Nihilus, where humanity is beset on all sides by darkness and chaos is on the rise. Even the mighty Lionel Johnson could not hope to prevail on his own in such a hostile environment. Luckily, he has allies to help him as he hunts down the forces of chaos in Lion, Son of the Forest, explosive new novel by Mike Brooks. And here he is. So what has he been up to? What has Tywin Lannister on steroids been up to?
That's going to be a meme. I know it.
It has to be. He looks like Tywin Lannister. In fact, you know what? While we are here, Tywin, while we are here. I mean, come on. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe
What?
I'm willing to accept it. Audience, look, I can handle constructive criticism, but here is Tywin Lannister right here. Again, fantastic, right? Great guy, awesome. And then here is Lionel Johnson.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not.
I mean, come on. They kind of, sort of, maybe look similar. I don't know.
Very, very much so.
I'll have all of you decide on that. So let's return back to this fantastic cover again. Looking at this cover, it is a lone Imperium nihilist without the Emperor, the Imperium, or sons. So he's on his own. The Lion faces a terrible challenge. He meets a formidable Chaos Warband led by one of his treacherous sons. Oh my goodness! And must call upon every ally he can. He'll need to rally his fallen knights, who have been hunted across the galaxy as they waited the day their father would return. This is your first chance to read about the Lion's exploits in the 41st millennium and find out what exactly the Primarch of the Dark Angels has been up to since the end of the Horus Heresy. Not just sleeping, it would seem. So in other words, he might have been awake the whole damn time.
Oh, Jesus. I demand an explanation.
Like, what have you been up to, Lionel? What have you been up
10,000
to?
years is a long time to be missing.
So right here, look, I failed my father. 3 failed my father. Thrice failed my father. Thrice fear. Thrice also failed my brothers. No, wait. Sorry. I got confused. I failed my father. I fear. I also failed my brothers. I do not wish to fail my sons. Interesting. So if he, so wait, if he was awake, then he already knows the state of the Imperium. And then he has had to have heard. I refuse to believe that he did not know that his brother Guilliman was awake. He had to have known then. Okay, now okay. You'll also need to buy this book in hardback, ebook. Okay, you'll also be able to buy this book, hardback, ebook, audio formats, which will be available simultaneously with the release of this special edition.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I know what I want. I like this hardcover book though. This is something I would want. And right there, look, I failed my father. I fear I also failed my brothers. I do not wish to fail my sons. So then, if somebody was trying to trick him into betraying Guilliman, he might go along with it just to reveal to Guilliman that there's more traitors. Because I could foresee a scene. And audience, what do you think? There's potential people who want to get rid of Guilliman. They're placating the Lion, and the Lion gets them all in a room and says, "Hey, you do realize I'm not Guilliman, right?" And they're all like, yes, we know, Lion. We can manipulate you. And the Lion's like, yeah, Guilliman's the good one. I will not fail my brother. And he just goes out, like maybe starts ripping all of them a new one or something. That would be an interesting.
It sounds like he was somewhere pressed down by a force for 10,000 years, and that's why he feels like he couldn't escape that, and he failed.
So if this is the case, though, in regards towards what Lionel Johnson is doing, and if he was awake or somewhere in the warp or doing his own quest to maybe avenge his failings, because the Dark Angels got to the Siege of Terra too late. The Blood Angels were there, the Imperial Fists, I believe the White Scars. Were the Salamanders there too, or was it only just? Oh yeah, because there was only 3 legions: the White Scars, the Blood Angels, and the Imperial Fists. That's who was there, and the Dark Angels got there late. So the Lion had probably a little bit of that shame. Oh my goodness.
Well, it all depends how they also connected, because sometimes they are, making stuff up as they go, and they don't always connect things perfectly. Especially if you read The End and the Death, there's some additional things now that kind of contradict some other stuff before. So yeah, especially about damn it. Okay. I totally forgot his name right now.
Which one? Which Primarch?
Not the Primarch, the right hand of the Emperor.
Oh, Malcador.
Yes,
Malcador the Sigillite.
Yeah, there's some things about Malcador that are a bit different here. The way that he speaks about the Primarchs. There's some other really brief novel that I read, and he explains how they're just tools. But in this one, he has a bit more softer attitude towards them, you can say.
Oh well, you see, when I look at Warhammer 40K novels, especially when they're being when I look at who the main character is, we're seeing their story through their perspective, and there's been so many portrayals of how the Emperor was. There are some people who say that he was a tyrant and cold-hearted, and others say that he was warm and embracing and loved his sons, and others where he was like 50-50. It really depends on the point of view. I know that Melkador has been treated the same way too, but from his interactions with the Emperor, he seemed to be more caring towards the Primarchs than the Emperor was. But in that infamous little game that they were playing that was narrated beautifully by Wolflord Rowe, the Emperor says, "They took my sons," being the chaos forces of chaos. They took my sons. So he's at least acknowledging them as his sons. And I know that when Guilliman met the Emperor, according to Guilliman's looking back at it and remembering his conversation, he said he was getting many contradictory points of view. Like, the Emperor's soul's been shattered. He says, "You are my son. You're my tool. You are a weapon. You'll be wasted." Perhaps maybe the Lion might get the same thing too. And I know we talked about this on your channel, but the potential resurrection of a Emperor as a god. I mean, what will the Warhammer 40K universe get? Because if we're getting back not only Guilliman, the Lion, Angron, Magnus, Mortarion, is it possible now to see the return of maybe an emperor that has arisen from the Golden Throne? Because we've seen the Silent King. We're seeing a whole new set of Tyranid models coming out, and we also have seen what I find interesting is that the Orcs are also getting an upgrade for their gear and weaponry. I mean, even their new war boss, Grazgal Magtrucker, I think that's his name. That's his name. Who's trying to reunite the Orcs into a single fighting force. Your thoughts? You think we'll see somebody else come in, and if not from the Imperium, do you see anything coming from another faction?
Oh boy, you touched upon a lot of topics in one. Well, based on what I've read, firstly, the one novel that I mentioned where things are coming directly from Malkador's mouth, it sounded totally different. His attitude towards the Primarchs, they were just tools, and everything was thought out in advance, how they're going to play their roles. All of that was directly stated by him. And here it's like a bit different, you can say. He's much more the warm and the loving and the caring Malkador that you described. So that's why I think that they're not really consistent with the portrayal sometimes of some of the characters. And of course, the Emperor is the most controversial out of them all, because in the earlier lore, he is presented a bit warmer, and in the more recent, not really, especially if you go back to that conversation between him and Guilliman in the throne room. That wasn't very good in general. But in terms of the future, I think that based on what I've read from the last novel with Guilliman, that 3-part series that you mentioned, it seems like Guilliman is going towards resurrecting the Emperor, like, indirectly, and he doesn't even know that he's doing that. It's just that he's following the Emperor's plan, although he doesn't understand what that is, but he's still doing it. I'm gonna mute my mic because the puppies are gonna be loud for about 2 minutes now, because somebody is coming. So yeah, you talk.
All right. So the book in question was Dark Imperium, but that's a trilogy. But I believe that there was a book before Dark Imperium, and that is Guilliman's journey to the Golden Throne. So I want to pull this up now. It's from Reddit. Folks, if there's any corrections, live stream audience, please type it in the comment section below. We would love your feedback. But here, let me read this, because then I wonder if the lion might have a similar conversation too. So let me go ahead and
Oh,
put this in here. All right. He was in the dust of a corpse king's court. He was before a resplendent emperor for all the ages. Father, he said. And when he said that word, it was the last time he had meant it. Father, I have returned. Guilliman forced himself to look into the pillar of light, the screaming of souls, the empty-eyed skull, the impassive god, the old man, yesterday's savior. What must I do? Help me, Father. Help me save them. In the present, in the past, he felt Mortarian's wordless presence at his side. He felt his fallen brother's horror. He looked at the Emperor of Mankind and could not see. Too much, too bright, too powerful. The unreality of the being before him stunned him to the core. 100 different impressions, all false, all true, raced through his mind. He could not remember what his father had looked like before, and Reboot Guilliman forgot nothing. And then that thing, that terrible, awful thing upon the throne saw him. My son, it said. 13, it said. Lord of Ultramar, savior, hope, failure, disappointment, liar, thief, betrayer, Guilliman. Again, I'm looking at this failure, disappointment, liar, and thief and betrayer.
goosebumps.
Well, it's okay. Failure, perhaps maybe getting killed by Fulgrim. Disappointment, how he left the Imperium in its current state. Liar and thief and betrayer. Perhaps that's breaking apart the legions. How his brothers viewed him, because again, Rogaldorn didn't like it. Breaking apart the legions. Neither did the Wolf or anyone else. And again, he's been made after the Horus Heresy. He was made into the Lord Commander. Continuing on, he heard all these at once. He did not hear them all. The emperor spoke and did not speak. The very idea of words seemed ridiculous. The concept of them a grievous harm against the equilibrium of time and being. Root Guilliman, the raging tempest, spoke his name. It was the violence of a dying sun rains upon its world. Guilliman, Guilliman, Guilliman. The name echoed down the wind of eternity, never ceasing, never reaching its intended point. The sensation of many minds reached out to Guilliman, violating his senses as they tried to commune, but then one mind seemed to come out from the many, a raw, unbowed power, and gave wordless commands to go out and save what they built together, to destroy what they made, to save his brothers, to kill them. Contradictory impulses, all impossible to disobey, all the same, all different. Futures many and terrible raced through his mind. The result of these things, should he do any or all, or none of them at all? Father, he cried. Thoughts battered him. A son, not a son, a thing, a name, not a name, a number, a tool, product, a grand plan in ruins, an ambition unreleased, information, too much information, coursed through Guilliman, stars and galaxies, entire universes, races older than time, things too terrifying to be real, eroding his being like a storm in full separate carves knife edge gulls into a badland. So I stuttered on that line. Oops. Please, Father, he begged. Father, not a father. Thing, the mind said. Apotheosis, victory, defeat. Choose, it said. Fate, future, past, renewal, despair, decay. And then there seemed to be focusing as of a great will exerting itself, not for the final time, but nearly for the final time. A sense of strength failing, a sense of ending. Far away, he heard arcane machines whine and screech, close to collapse, and the clamor of screams of dying psychers that underpinned everything in that horrific room, rising higher in a pinch of intensity. Guilliman, the voices overlapped, becoming almost one, and Guilliman had a fleeting memory of a sad face that had seen too much, and a burden it could barely countenance. Guilliman, hear me, my last loyal son, my pride, my greatest triumph. How those words burned him, worse than poisons of Mortarion, worse than the sting of failure. They were not a lie, not entirely. It was worse than that. They were conditional. My last tool, my last hope. A final drawing in of power, a thought expelled like a dying breath. Guilliman.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Whew.
That is a lot. Kind of seems pretentious to me. I mean, I remember that. I listened to it twice. I played it on the stream when I reviewed the book. It is a lot and kind of, makes me think that there's one constant in the Emperor's mind, and that is the last words that he is his final hope. That Guilliman, he is a tool, but he is also his son. But emphasis on the fact that the last hope of the emperor. So they didn't factor in that the lion's gonna come back here.
Well,
Only Guilliman is on focus.
well, maybe that's the thing. Like Gilliman is still, he was in stasis and still in his prime. The lion was still out there. Perhaps, you know, he is because remember, in his fight with Mortarion, the Emperor did possess Gilliman's body and burnt the gardens of Nurgle. He did that in Plague Wars, the third book of Dark Imperium, and perhaps he is the Emperor's last tool, last hope. Um, but then again, if he has a conversation with the lion, what will that conversation be? Will it be the same thing? Because I would like to see a sit down with the lion and Guilliman, and perhaps maybe Guilliman confiding in the lion, like, "Hey, look, I don't know if our father is still the same person anymore. I don't know if he is even human, because they do need to take into account the Primarchs that if the Emperor is ever to come back, both of these two individuals might be the only ones that could hold back the Emperor if the Emperor is truly gone, because he's been on that throne for like 10,000 years. And if the lion is truly on a quest for redemption and protecting humanity, he might have to protect humanity from the Emperor.
Hmm. I really don't think so. At least not for now.
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, firstly, if they write things this way, if they put so much on Gilliman, then how is this factoring in the other primarchs that are going to be back? How are they important then to the story of Gilliman is so important to the Emperor? They have to explain somehow how the Emperor focused so much on Guilliman and he returned him to life. He was that important for
Mm.
him to exert so much power to restore his body from the gold blight's damage.
Mm.
So that's important. And also, I don't think that the Emperor is really on the golden throne. I mean that his body is there, what's left of it, but he just uses his body as a conduct to hold that position and to do the things that he's doing there, to keep chaos away, to keep the Necronomicon. My Warhammer vocabulary is like this. So many Warhammer things in my head. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, to do his thing, but he is in the warp and he's doing things there. He's active there nonstop. He's just in his own pockets of space there and he moves around as he needs to. He gathers energy as he needs to. And he is interjecting into events when he needs to. So yeah.
Mm. Now, then let's go ahead and cause a big argument in the live stream chat. That's probably
Oh,
already happening all across the Warhammer 40K community, because you know how the Warhammer community is now that once something's been confirmed, because there's been a lot of people who've been saying that the Lion would be the first one to return after Guilliman. Who's next? The Wolf? The Khan? The
damn.
Praetorian?
Well,
I'm going to make a controversial statement. I think the Khan is the next one to return. The Khan. I'm putting my bets on Jagatai Khan. Jagatai Khan's going to come back.
yeah, well, it turns out that he was almost dead at the Siege of Terra, which I didn't know before. So after that state, I don't know if he recovered at all because
What?
I thought that he was lost in the webway.
Oh, what? Jagatai Khan?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he was going after the Drukari. They raided his world and he went after them and he was lost in Komorra somewhere in the webway.
but that was after he was probably restored from the almost dead state.
Yes, probably.
Ah,
Maybe.
okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, by this point, who knows what they're going to come up with in the lore?
Or either that, perhaps maybe we will get what's it? Lehman Russ as an old man Odin.
Oh, no. Can we just not have old Primarchs besides the lion because he's a lost cause already? in terms of how old he is.
Well, no,
He has to
like
have like all good looking guys.
because he have a patch over his eye. He could actually be Odin, the true Norse king of Fenris. He'll come back like that. Or I don't know how Rogel Dorn will come back. I mean, all that's left of him is his fist. And then there is everyone's favorite perpetual, the Primarch of the Salamanders,
Oh,
Vulcan.
Vulcan.
Vulcan,
Yeah,
yeah.
where is he? I mean, he must be recreating himself somewhere by this point.
Yeah.
He went kaboom and that was it. He must be able to regenerate
Well, I
from
mean,
that.
he has to regenerate because he fell from space and went through a planet's atmosphere and survived. Like and by the way, folks, don't try this at home. If you jump off of a platform high above in space and you're caught in Earth's gravity, you're gonna get vaporized. Vulcan survived that, so he
Just a
could
little bit.
just a little bit. But we do got a funny comment here in the live stream chat from Double M Double Fun. He says, by the way, I don't care about the lion versus Angron. That's Gray Skull's prey. You gets the stupid red Groot stole Yarrick from the boss. Rest in peace, Commissar Yarrick. I couldn't even believe that. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Me too. Like, why would we lose him? He was a legend.
What what I find shocking is Yarrick has been described as being very old, older than a normal human. And the orcs, I think, contributed to that because there's the orc belief of he can't die. And orcs are so strong in their beliefs. Like red is best. Red goes faster. Yellow is no, wait, purple is camouflage. Blue is good luck. Green is the best. And so if an orc believes something, if a whole group of orcs, or he's at a whole species, I find it surprising that Commissar Yarrick is even dead, because that's the curse of Yarrick. Every single orc war boss wants to fight him, and Gaskell wants to kill him because he's the best enemy he's ever had. And according to Gaskell, it's hard to find good enemies. So if
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
like the
case,
Batman and the Joker.
yeah, no, Gaskell needs Commissar Yarrick to raise more boys because he'd be like, hey, there's this guy in Armageddon. He's impossible to kill. He's fought me so many times. We got to kill him. He's just too incredible. And the story of Yarrick is being hyped up, so all those orcs would go after him. It is interesting, but we do see the story potentially of the lion facing off against Angron. And I wonder what the orcs' role will be in this. And I hope it won't be comedic, because the orcs, while they can be funny, I hope they do return back to respecting them as a true horrific threat that they are, which again, I think they were portrayed perfectly in the animated series that was done by Richard Boylan, Hell's Reach. Your thoughts? Because I know we're running
Yeah.
short on time, and I want to make sure that we at least cover all the bases, because I think we talked about the lion. There's just some room for other people coming back, so there you go. But yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome in Hell's Reach, by the way. And
Mhm.
also in the first episode of Hammer and Bolter, they showed exactly the story of Commissar Yarrick and that orc boss. As much as it was brief, and the orcs were kind of funny there, indeed. I still don't know how he died, by the way. I was trying to find where that was written, but I'm not sure if it came out.
What a twist it would be if Yarrick faked his death just to get the orcs into a trap to fight chaos. Because I could see Commissar Yarrick doing something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, he could do something sneaky like this. And you know what? I just realized I forgot to ask you. Can you repeat again? Which Primarch do you think would be coming back? Lehman Russ, Vulcan, the Khan. I'm gonna hold out hope for the Khan. I want to see the Khan come back.
Well, I think the question is like, well, two questions. Who do I want to come back next, and who actually will come back next? Probably. So my guess for probably coming back next is going to be Lehman Russ, and who I do want to be resurrected is Sanguinius, somehow.
I don't know. Look, I would love to see Sanguinius return, but I think that would make his sacrifice seem null and void. I think if Sanguinius is truly dead, I think for lore wise, maybe you could have him as like a spiritual guide for the other Primarchs, but how do you make him come back from his epic sacrifice unless they really do follow or make Sanguinius as, I guess, the 40 Warhammer 40K Christ returning, the second resurrection. I mean, if they really do that, I mean, you really, they got to pour in night and day on how to really bring him back and make the community happy.
Yeah,
That's
of course, it has to be written well. But firstly, he was dead for 10,000 years, which I think that he was dead long enough. Firstly, I mean, a whole eon of time went by, and humanity developed and did whatever it did, and he wasn't there. So I think that by this point, he was dead long enough, and he can come back in some kind of a meaningful way. So the key here is to make it very substantial and make it make sense and make it impactful to the lore and to overall story, make him contribute in some kind of a significant way that's going to be really epic, and it will not diminish his death, because what his death did do, it lasted for thousands of years, like I've said. So, and now whatever he is going to do is going to make a huge difference in the fight against chaos. Maybe he's going to become the right hand of the emperor for real, or someone that could be like a real succession, like the real prince, so to speak, the good face of the emperor, or the face of the emperor, meaning that maybe he's going to be some kind of a replacement to the emperor eventually. I mean, they can go in a different directions, but it has to be big, it has to be substantial, and it has to be meaningful.
I agree. So hopefully that would be the case. I mean, if they are able to do a decent Sanguinius resurrection, that would be earth shattering. Because then, if Sanguinius can be resurrected, well, that means the Emperor can walk the mortal plane again. But I hope they don't do anything like End Times. That would, I'm not a fan of how Warhammer Fantasy did the End Times. It's just, it doesn't sit well with me. All right, maybe my opinion will change, but I don't want to see a Warhammer 40K End Times. At least have the forces, I mean, yeah, you could face off against chaos, and it could be end of the world type battle, end of the universe type battle. But I don't know. Part of me wants to see hope, but hope is the first pass to disappointment. But maybe we'll get something. So I know we're running short on time. So Geri, I want to thank you so much for being on our special live stream talk edition about the return of the lion. So I want to give you the final word. Is there anything that you're looking forward to in the book and with the lore surrounding the lion? I know you mentioned like, hey, what he's been up to. Do you think we'll get his personal thoughts? Overall, I want to give you the final conclusion, the final word.
Well, my hopes is that we're going to get a really good story that is going to explore, firstly, where the lion has been, and a very good explanation of why he could not return for 10,000 years, why he is here now in this pivotal moment, maybe, how he's going to meet Guilliman. And then I'm kind of worried that because they are sending Guilliman to fight the Tyranids, that's going to be a detour from the main story. So I would prefer if GW can focus on the main lore that has everything to do with the Emperor. So if we can get that, more of that, and less of filler stories in these new novels and overall in the lore, I would be happy. So yeah, there's just there's just so much filler in the books in general. So yeah, that's been bothering me for a bit.
Yes, and so everyone that's watching, I do want to thank everyone for your time, for being here, and everyone in the live stream chat. Please type what kind of Primarch you want to see return. Geri, as always, it was great to have you on. In case you are want to know more about her YouTube channel, Here's her channel where you could find her, Geri G Reviews. Already, it's a fast-growing channel, so please, everyone, it's always so good to support fellow content creators, so do that as always. So there you go. You could follow all of her social media as well. And again, Geri, thank you for your time. Everyone that's been watching us, please take good care of yourselves. We got some great videos in the works here for Chicago Reacts. And if you like these specials of Warhammer 40K, please give us your feedback. The only reason why our channel is growing as fast as it is because of you guys and gals, you hip cool cats, who are our audience. And without all of you, we would not exist. And from that, on behalf of the entire team, all the reactors, we thank you so much for your time. What an awesome conversation. And I'm just looking forward to future updates. So everyone, please take good care of yourselves and all the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.